guys, Jamie here. So today I just wanted to talk about something related to. So I was reading one of my books. You know, I have a lot of high carb, low fat books, and I was reading one of my books, and there was a section in there about, just how all the ways that fat is detrimental to your health, high fat diets, and it just made me think about something, and it also was talking about how we've been convinced to believe that high fat diets don't make you fat, okay? And we've also been convinced to believe that fat doesn't cause fatty liver. Now just think about that for a second. Really think about that. That just goes to show how much conditioning and programming over year after year, decade after decade, how that really gets to the mind, okay? And that's why it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And so not only have we been lied to believe that we run on fat and the brain runs on fat, and that high fat diets are actually beneficial to our health, which they absolutely are not. They are not. If you want to have optimal health, you need to have a low fat diet. But it's just incredible. So not only have we been lied to and manipulated to believe this, then when people actually have, the thought, because I've talked to people who are just like, yeah, like fat doesn't make you fat. Like, you have to admit that's kind of odd, because deep down, your intuition, just, having rational thought would tell you that that is absolutely absurd, that fat doesn't make you fat, and fat doesn't cause fatty liver. Oh no, sugar makes you fat, and sugar causes fatty liver, not fat. So then they convince you about that. So it's like, man, the amount of gaslighting in regards to that is just unbelievable. And even with people online, you tell them, you get into a debate, which I typically don't even, it's not worth it online, because you don't even know who you're talking to, or if it's a bot or whatever. But and it's not good to waste your energy that way. But when you talk to people online, they get very triggered about that when you're like, no, yeah, fat does make you fat, and fat does cause fatty liver. Sugar doesn't cause fatty liver. They get so triggered and so almost violent and angry about it, because people, and they'll double down, they'll 100% double down. And it's almost like that one quote, you can it's easier to convince a person of a lie than it is that they have been lied to. And it is so true, because the ego can't stand it, right? Ego can't stand being wrong. It's not really you, it's your ego, and the ego can't stand being wrong. And listen, I don't particularly like the feeling of being wrong either, but I would so much rather know the truth about something, because the truth is important for just, self-preservation and, your existence, which is kind of important. So I would rather just know the truth and be like, oh man, I screwed up, I was wrong. And it's okay, because the amount of conditioning and programming that goes on, like I said, through education institutions, of course you're gonna, of course, I think our natural instinct is just to want to believe and to trust. And I don't think that that's a bad thing per se. In a really perfect world, we would be able to just trust, and it feels good to trust, because then we don't have to think about it. We just want to trust. And I wish we lived in that world. I really do, but we don't. And yes, there is good, and people have good intentions, but there's also bad, there's evil, and some people have bad intentions. So you really do have to, like I've said before, really use discernment and really critically think, okay? And if you were to critically think, you would come to the natural conclusion of, yeah, that doesn't really make sense, that fat doesn't cause a fatty liver and fat doesn't make you fat. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? No, it doesn't. And you see where they kind of get you though, where they're kind of telling some part truths, is most people will get a fatty liver or fat from eating processed foods, right? because processed foods have the fat and the carbs together, and fast food, like they all have the fat and carbs together. And let's be honest, a lot of homemade cooked meals have, people are putting fat and carbs together, and those things together, those foods will cause fatty liver. Okay, and that combination, it will cause fatty liver. But they're saying it's because of the sugar. No, it's because of the fat. So I mean, those foods aren't good to consume in general. Fast foods, processed foods that have fat and sugar together, those will lead to fatty liver and fat on the body. But they're trying to say it's because of the sugar, not the fat, and that's just a big flat out lie. Okay. But yeah, I was just thinking about that and how we've really lost the ability to critically think. We really have. We've just been taught what to think. Like, really. I'm just really noticing this a lot over the last few years. We have been taught what to think, not actually how to think. It's just don't question the narrative, just go along with it. And if you question it, well, you're a bad person. You're a bad person. Don't ask questions. You're a bad person. I'm seeing a lot of that. And yeah. But you know, I was there myself too when I was in my 20s. But to me now, in my opinion, we have access to so much information that we didn't years ago because of the internet and social media. But back then, we kind of had to take it as truth because we really didn't have not much conflicting information. Now we have social media and the internet, and everybody is recording everything. And I just feel like now we have access to more information and we're getting exposed to more truth. So if you're not seeing that, then I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say. Then you really got your head in the sand. Is that the right term? Your head in the sand, your head in the clouds? I don't know. Because to me, it's all out there, and it's out there if you want to see it. And so if you're not, you're just choosing not to, and or you're apathetic, or who knows, maybe people are drugged, I'm not really sure. But anyways, guys, so the truth of the matter is that fat does make you fat. And even if you don't have visceral fat, it doesn't mean that your organs aren't fatty. Okay, organs get fatty before you get fat. So it doesn't mean that just because maybe you're not like obese or you don't have a lot of fat on you, doesn't mean that your organs aren't fatty, and that's a problem. But yeah, fat makes you fat, and fat causes fatty liver. So just remember that, okay? Anyways, guys, that's my video for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back again for another video. Thanks, guys. Bye.